Welcome to the Real Estate Show on KMED. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you here on January 24th and 25th shows of 2015. And thanks for being with us. Hope you're making 2015 a good start to the new year. That's for sure. Next week, we'll be along here with the members of the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors and the SMLS and give you an update on kind of the things that they're up to. They kind of are the heart of really the real estate industry, or them, and they'll be along next week. JSWCD. Update you then 2 weeks from today. And, of course, sign up jswcd.org for some of the classes here that are going on. And like what's happening, which is really cool, they're filling up. They're full. I like that. I mean, that's terrific.
Their spring and summer calendar especially fills up. So check out the website and get yourself signed up.
All right. Well, Brad Bennington, he's the CEO of the Home Association of Jackson County. And,
hi, guys.
Brad is like, well, first of all, he's a Klamath boy, so we give him lots of kudos and love for that. But anyway, yeah. And, the Home Builders Association, when we first started talking with you, Brad was a guest on our show, and things weren't very good back in those days. When our show started, it was almost 5.5 years ago, things weren't very good. They were building no homes. Remember,
Right.
Shelley Culbertson from Tycor would tell us that no homes are being built. Things are going to be bad, and we're going to have a housing shortage. And I was just, you got to be crazy. Well, okay, here we are to 2015, and things have turned around, much like the entire real estate market. And home building is a big part of that.
Yeah, we sailed right into a housing shortage. What happened was, of course, we remember just a few years ago when 60 to 70% of all sales were
They were even, some were even higher than
that. What we politely called distressed sales, which went by other names as well. But anyway, so what happened was we overproduced the market. We had the crash, then we underproduced the market. We zero produced the market for a long time. We set a record for the fewest number of new homes ever built in 2012. And then since 2013, we've been gaining a little bit of altitude and airspeed. And, as we've talked about before, the really good news for Southern Oregon is that we have lots and lots of people that don't live here that would love to live here if they could just find a house to buy. So for our realtor friends are out there, with a fine-tooth comb finding properties that they can sell people. And those of us that are in the home construction and remodeling business, we're out there working like beavers. But here's the deal. The deal is that we've had, because of the crash that we went through, we had a lot of attrition of people that were in the industry. So right now, these numbers will vary a little bit according to trade. But as hard as it is to believe, we only have about 4 guys working in any particular construction industry out of the 10 that were working in 2006. So we've lost about 60% of the tradesmen that used to be in our industry. So as our industry is recovering, this is all part of the formula. So one of the things that some people are doing, and I think it's a great thing to look at, is they're doing remodeling, because the new home builders, they're literally building as fast as they can. The problem, as you guys know, the problem that realtors have now is just finding enough product to sell. The days on market is way down, prices are coming up, and realtors are just scrambling for property that they can sell to people. But one of the really cool things, especially people love neighborhoods, right? And especially if you're in a community like Ashland or like Jacksonville, where you find a neighborhood you really, really like, but you just can't find any open land or you can't find a new home, remodeling is your answer.
Now, before we get into that, I got to go back and ask you, what has been the biggest change in the home building business of what it used to be like to what it is today? Because isn't it true, Joe, like when we became realtors in 2007, there were lots of places with new construction, right? There were a lot of places that were built that were empty. And they were spec homes, right? And is that happening, or are you building specifically more today for an individual who says, I want this home, or tell me what's changed in the industry since the Great Recession?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the housing that was being built in the early 2000s was what we call spec building, which means you go out and you build a home and you speculate that someone is going to buy it from you, right? That's what a spec house is. Right.
Yeah, that means.
And then you have what we call a custom home, and a custom home is where either the contractor or the customer buys a piece of property, and then they work together to decide what kind of home is going to be built, and that's a custom home. And then you have pre-solds, where you have a contractor will have a home. He'll maybe have the floor plan or the design of the home, and a customer comes along and says, yes, that's the one that I want. Contractor says, that's great, I was going to build it anyway. and they take off from there, and that becomes pre-sold, and usually those wind up being kind of semi-custom. What we have today is we have a market where some of the work that's going on out there is spec, but a lot of it is customers that have made contact with a contractor, and they are in fact either pre-solds or custom homes.
So that's the majority you think going on right now.
Well, again, there's a shortage. If you look at the popular neighborhoods, and if you go and look at the new construction that's going on there, you're going to find that there are people that said, yes, this is where I want to live. That's the lot that I want over there. And they'll go find the contract that has it and make a deal, and let's get going.
Well, it certainly makes a lot of sense compared to just building spec homes, doesn't it, today? And because you want the money up front. I mean, banks aren't going to loan on speculative as they did on a lot of developments and a lot of,
Right, yeah, Pete, we call that AD&C funds, acquisition, development, and construction funds, and all those funds dried up during the crash. But they need to come back, and the reason for that, and they are coming back, by the way, and the reason is that the custom construction process is very satisfying for the consumer, but it's not time efficient for one contractor to spend all that time on one dwelling on that one customer. Works great for them, but it doesn't work good for the amount of housing need that we have here in Southern Oregon. So we do need spec housing. We do have some contractors that have bought, and we've had this discussion before. The lots that were put in before the crash went back to the lender. Another contractor came in, financially healthy, bought them, and now they're building like crazy.
And that's where it's going.
And I'll give you one example. Their members is Hayden Homes. Hayden Homes, Polish Homes. They actually came down from Bend. Bend is, Deschutes, Oregon, our friends a little bit to the north of us. Their demographics are strikingly similar, actually. Yeah. But Hayden Homes came down, bought an awful lot of lots at a great price, and they're out there building these houses as fast as they can, and people are buying them just as fast as they're finishing them, they're selling them.
It seems like that market is pretty healthy.
Yep. And Brad, our last real estate television show on Rogue Valley Community Television, you had made a point, I was just thinking about it driving home, of how affordable new homes are. New home median prices have creeped up a little bit as we started to build, but the interest rates are so low. So I'm driving home, I think, gosh, if I had a few more years in my own home, I could
get a new one,
cash in and get into a brand new home. And I love my home. It was built in '76.
Yeah.
And that's when I was in high school.
Yeah.
But I'm almost in a position, the light just went on. So I think other folks, maybe with a little more equity, a little more time in their homes, could see that switch flip for them, and that, hey, this might be a great time to cash out and get into a brand new, not necessarily trying to move up or get to a greater neighborhood or anything like that. Just stay in the general area you're at, but get into a brand new home. It could be done.
Or what else could you do? You could remodel your place and make it from 1976 to look like it's 2015, right?
Now, if we could only do that with me.
I know, but
I used to be able to touch the rim in the 1970s.
We can't do that. But
your home, you can.
But those are the options that people say. And I was surprised, Brad. Well, by the way, we're talking with Brad Bennington, the CEO of the Home Builders Association of Jackson County, here on the Real Estate Show today. And HBAJC.com, right?
Yes.
Is the website.
Good one.
That kind of, you can see the members, you can find contractors, you can find lots of things there. So I encourage you to go there. But I didn't realize we were talking about remodeling, and Brad starts ripping off a bunch of these different things. I never even thought of that there's different levels, different types of remodeling. Sure. That is probably going to be, I would assume if you're in the contracting business, that's pretty lucrative, I think, in some ways, if you can do it.
Well, the thing about as people, we get attached to a certain area. And people,
absolutely.
And people find a neighborhood that they like, and they like their neighbors, they like where they are. But it's time to, it's not like a car. Like, you drive your car, you put a certain number of miles on it. When it's time to get a new car, you go get a new car. Houses are much more personal. The house is really kind of an extension of you, and we get very attached to our homes. So the nice thing about remodeling is that you get to stay in the neighborhood you love. You get to be close to the neighbors you love. But what you do is you bring all the new modern conveniences into your home and make it a lot more comfortable and a lot easier to take care of. Like there are so many really cool things that you can do with the home. One of the things that you always want to talk about when you talk about remodeling with someone is, what are you trying to achieve? Do you want more livability? Do you want more mobility? Let me mention to you something that's really starting to take hold here in Southern Oregon. It's called aging in place construction.
Absolutely. We've had Sharon
Johnson.
Sharon Johnson. In fact, they have a
Sharon and Howard Johnson. Yeah.
Sharon and Howard have another seminar coming up, I believe, this spring that we're going to talk about and hopefully have them on again and share with us. But you're right, that lifelong housing is a big thing.
Right. So you've got different mobility requirements. Right. You might have to change your counter heights a little bit. You might want to make your door openings a little bit different. But remodeling is really, really great for people who they love where they are, but they just want to kind of update things, make it more comfortable. And it's a done right. Remodeling is just a wonderful, wonderful thing to do to a home.
Mm-hmm. And how many homes do we show, or we go with prospective buyers? A lot of them are first-time home buyers that are looking at homes that are in that 60s, 70s, early 80s age range.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are kind of boxy, just narrow hallways and little boxy rooms. And one of the things they all say is, boy, I'd like to just blow out that wall and open it up. The open spaces are much more valued, much more popular in homes now. So that's something people can do when they get a new property, get their hands on it to modernize it that way.
Well, there's lots of ways to remodel, right? I mean, you, as you say, the first time is just remodel your interior house. That's what I do at my house, right? That's what I've been doing. I'm kind of done with that, and it's time to sell it. It's done. But if I bought a house, that many people do come in and do some remodeling after they bought a house, don't they? Mm-hmm. More than you think. Don't you think? I think that.
Well, there's the old splash and dash where some people call it remodeling just because you come in and put down new carpet and paint.
Yeah, that's not remodeling. But that's kind of upkeep. I think I don't count that.
That's not remodeling. Here in Southern Oregon, we have some really, really desirable places to live, but in some of them, finding property is difficult. In a couple of communities that you're familiar with, Ashland and Jacksonville, both of those communities are really challenged when it comes to finding new lots that people can build on. So what you do is you come in, you find, again, you look for the neighborhood. Maybe you want you have a certain view. You got a south-facing view that you want. You find the place, you find the house. Make sure that you got a big enough footprint to work with. And then you get a hold of a licensed contractor. One of our members is a good choice, and you start working on a floor plan. And because you can, what this is existing house really just becomes at that point just your starting point. And you can take that with a good contractor and with a good design team. It is absolutely amazing how you can transform an old, rundown, moderately valuable piece of property into just a stellar, wonderful place to live. I'll just give you real quick.
That's a nice option.
I like that.
I'll give you a quick example of something that you run into in old houses all the time is a squeaky, spongy floor, right? Everybody raise their hands who likes squeaky, spongy floors. All right. How do you fix that? Okay, here's what you do. First, it's always easier if you work out of the house, if you can vacate the house or just don't move until all the work's done. But I've done this myself and it works great. You literally go in and you pull the floor out, right? And some people try to work from underneath, but let me tell you, it's a lot easier to do it this way. Go in, pull all the flooring out, and now all that stuff is out of the way. You get underneath. If you need to do some vertical adjustments, jack up here, shim up here a little bit, you get your floor nice and perfect. Now you reframe the floor in place, put the floor down, and now you got a rock solid floor. And now the rest of your remodel, as you put that down, you've got just a beautiful solid floor to build from. Mm-hmm. Doesn't cost near as much as you might. I've done this a couple of different times. It works great, and the results are amazing.
What about adding? One of the things that certainly happened in Talent, in other towns, in Ashland too, is the adding an additional dwelling unit on.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've in prices when they go to sell them.
Yes.
With that rental income or mother-in-law cottage or whatever you want to use it for, they don't have to be very big. But I'm seeing a lot of that still happening. And can I remodel that into an existing place? Do you see any of that happening?
Well, ADUs are the flavor of the day up in Portland Metro. I mean,
yes.
they're putting ADUs everywhere they can possibly fit them in. Planning practices are driving that, and those planning practices are eventually going to come here as well. So ADUs are a great way to optimize the use of your property. Now we have rules, and the rules are specific depending on which building department has jurisdiction over you, like whether you're in Medford, for instance, or whether you're in Eagle Point,
sure,
or whether you're in Central Point. So those issues are going to vary a little bit. But the idea that if you have enough property that you can put an auxiliary dwelling unit on there, that's a great way to optimize your property and maybe make a place for one of your parents to move in, or just have a little guest house for when people come to visit.
I see a lot of them over garages.
If you have kids, though, beware. Maybe you don't want that ADU.
You don't want to usually rent it to somebody else. Well, I've seen a lot of those, and I think over garages, I see them tucked away. I mean, when you go on the realtor tours, you see ADUs in all sorts of configurations, locations. I don't know how many of them are legal or not, but it depends, I guess. But I would sure see that a value of a piece of property by having an additional dwelling unit on it is something you might consider in remodeling, because, gosh.
Very, very popular.
And easy to finance, I would think, too, because you get some income as well, maybe.
I have squeaky floors, too. I should invite Brad over to play, to come over and play for a weekend.
All right, the Real Estate Show continues here on KMED. We're coming right back here. We're with Brad Bennington of the Home Builders, talking about remodeling, all sorts of things. We're coming right back after this. The Real Estate Show continues here on KMED this weekend of January 24th and 25th. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the Real Estate Guys, with you, and thanks for joining us here on KMED. Whether you're listening on AM 1440 or FM 106.7, we appreciate you making the Real Estate Show part of your weekend. Joe and I are both real estate brokers here in the Rogue Valley, and we get together once a week with you here on KMED to talk about real estate-related issues in Jackson and Josephine counties, and we go from everything from home builders to water to sales and markets and mortgages. And my goodness, can you believe that the mortgage rates continue to go down? It is amazing. I mean, I was the one, by the way, I will tell you, who said they were not going to rise.
I did say that.
You guys have all been. They're going to go. They're going the other
Nancy,
way.
We called
30%. I mean, 3.75%. The 15-year rates are 3%. I mean, happy days are here again, I guess, is what you can say. But the difference is that the lending practices of getting those loans are so much different than they were in 2005 and 2006 and 2007. That's the difference. And that may save the industry in the end, because people who are at least getting these loans appear to be able to pay them back. Right? I mean, doesn't that make sense?
We found out that if our real estate economy implodes in the United States, pretty much our country goes with it. So we don't want that to happen.
No, we do not want that to happen. We're with Brad Bennington. He's the CEO of the Home Builders Association of Jackson County, and kind of the lead expert in terms of new construction and home building in our area.
You betcha.
It is good to hear, though, that, well, the interesting part that you said earlier was that only 4 of 10 people who were originally in the trades are still working today.
That's right.
You talk about a filtering out of kind of like the weak, I guess is the way. I don't know if that's the right terminology to use.
No,
but
it wasn't. It wasn't the way. I mean, we lost just as many good contractors as we lost other contractors. It was just, when you have total market collapse, the good cows starve right along with the bad cows.
That's really true, isn't it?
So,
Brad, are those guys still in the area? Were they doing other things? Will they come back to our workforce, be able to make their way back?
Unfortunately, no. And that leads me to something I'd just like to talk about just a second, which is vocational education for young people. But the short answer to your question is, I'm going to answer it with a comment. I'm going to ask you a question, then I'm going to give you the answer. The question is, what is the average age of a brick mason in the United States?
The brick mason.
And
probably
what is
pretty
the
old, I would
average age
think.
of
In the
brick
60s, I would think, at least.
And the answer is 58.
That's pretty close.
So
okay.
58, right. So, Pete, what that means is that for people that are in blue-collar trades, we're really suffering a lack of skill. And there's a huge opportunity for young people to get involved in the construction trades and actually make good money. So this is something that we advocate for home construction practices, but we also advocate for our labor force that builds new homes. New home construction is really the rising tide that lifts all ships, and a big part of that is the labor part of that equation. And I would just tell young people that if you want to get into a rewarding line of work that you can really take a lot of pride in and make some good money in, think about getting into the home construction industry, because right now there are opportunities like you just can't believe.
How would they do that?
I was just going to say, I know that Brad would talk to people if you called him, but that's
talk to me.
I mean, you're just like the perfect person to explain this to somebody who's interested in that. And there are opportunities.
Boy, there are.
And entrepreneurship is alive, and this is an area that is not talked about much, is it? I mean, really, we don't talk about this part of the business.
I have a friend that I was having a conversation with just a week ago. He's in the site work business. He pays $20 an hour, and he says, Brad, he says, if I could find a guy that could do the work that I need to do, he says, I'd hire him on the spot.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you're finding, isn't it? And where and you've told us that Road Community College is the only place right around this area that has instruction, any kind of instruction in the trades?
Our friend Ralph Henderson, who runs the construction technology department over there, has been making the case that they really need support for this type of program. And, of course, that program suffered the same fate as the entire industry there for a few years.
Right.
But right now, again, now we have this really big gap of, we have a huge labor gap right now. We could be putting all kinds of people to work in the home construction industry if we just had the talent and the skill to do it.
Yeah.
So, again, this is it's a great opportunity for young people. If the idea of flipping burgers doesn't appeal to you, come talk to us over in the home building industry, and let's see if we can hedge you a different direction.
And I know not a bunch of builders, but some of the ones I know started as guys on crews, learning how to frame houses and learning how to build houses. Here 10, 15 years later, they own their own business and they're building their own homes. I mean, that's the kind of career path it can lead to. And it's a good family wage job just when you get in and get started. And those are hard to come by for young people in our valley.
I've even seen ads for electrician apprentices, plumbing apprentices.
Yeah.
Because some of these businesses, as you say, they're aging older, and who's replacing the young? Who's replacing them? And so
all those youngsters all can't go work for .com.
Well, not all are going to go to college and go become PhDs or whatever. But the money that can be earned in this trade, in this business, it's a pretty living wage job, and it sure beats, as you say, a lot of other things that some people can do.
You can outsource a lot of things that electronically, in nature. You can outsource cell phone service or computer service, but you know what? You can't outsource repairing your plumbing. You can't outsource repairing your electrical, and you can't outsource somebody building your garage. That's all. That's all done right in your backyard. And the good news for that is all that money stays local.
Yeah.
That's just another reason why home construction is just so good for our local economy.
Well, we need to have people to replace because we're still going to need housing. There's no question about that. So back to our remodeling world again.
Yes.
I know that when do you make the decision? Should I remodel, just tear it down and start over, kind of thing? Is that something that's an option for people too?
Well, I always like starting with the experts, and so for somebody, if you're considering, something minor, you don't need to consult, an engineer or a draftsman or a home designer or contractor. But if it's going to involve very much, come talk to us. We'll give you a selection of contractors that you can talk to. We're not going to just give you any one guy. Find somebody that you feel you can get along with, that you make a connection with, and then take advantage of their experience. Because the best ideas and the best outcomes are always collaborative. Mm-hmm. It's always one or two or three people talking together. And the old saying goes, none of us is as smart as all of us. So when you get kind of some fairly smart, experienced people talking about something, you're going to get some good ideas out of that. And out of those good ideas, you're going to get a successful remodel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
so if it's going to be big, get some candidates, get some contractor candidates that have experience doing the kind of work that you want to do. Find somebody that's a good fit for you, and then start doing the design work. So don't just launch out into the into space and hope you're going to land somewhere, because that's not going to end very well.
And tell people the rule again, because if I work in my own house, I can work on it whatever I want to do. Correct?
Yeah.
But if I hire someone, or tell me how does that rule go?
Yeah. Well, Oregon law is really broad that way, and if you're going to work on your own home, the law lets you do that, except for there's a few exclusions when it comes to specialty trades such as plumbing and wiring, and I'm not going to go into that, but generally, Oregon law is very permissive when it comes to homeowners working on their own homes.
Okay? Right.
That you're going to live in. But if the structure isn't one that's not your primary residence, you need to hire a contractor. And then I really strongly advise that you do hire a contractor for this one simple reason. When you do remodeling, you're talking about spending a lot of money. And if you're going to spend a lot of money, the best way to protect that investment is making sure that it's done properly. Mm-hmm. And the best way to make sure it's done properly is hire somebody that's a professional that knows what he's doing.
But don't you have to have a licensed Oregon contractor to work on your property now? Isn't that what that rule is? Remember, you have these inspectors run around, and they check these guys and make sure that they're licensed, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. Oregon law requires if you're going to hire someone, the limit may have changed a little bit. It used to be $600, but if you're going to hire someone to do $600 or more work on your property, they need to be a licensed contractor.
Right.
And it's really easy to, all you have to do is log on, just Google CCB Oregon. That's Construction Contractors Board Oregon. Pops right up, and you can very easily, just literally in a matter of a couple of minutes, you can research anybody's name or company and find out if they're a licensed contractor or not.
Mm-hmm. And you want that licensed contractor. That is the one thing we've learned, haven't we, Joe?
Boy.
Is you better have a licensed contractor to do your work.
Boy, howdy.
And because these guys can get in trouble too in case you don't. And we've heard of inspectors stopping by. Remember some of these guys and checking their licenses. And if you don't have it, you don't want them working for you.
Mistakes that are associated with the biggest investment of your life are big mistakes and can be very costly.
Yes,
All
they
right.
can.
The Real Estate Show rolls on here on KMED. We're with Brad Bennington, the CEO of the Home Builders Association of Jackson County, on this weekend's Real Estate Show. This show repeats at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, and all of our shows are at youtube.com. We'll be right back after this. Real Estate Show continues here on KMED this January 24th and 25th weekend of 2015. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you. Hope your January has been a good one. The Super Bowl's next week, and it's the end of Joe's holiday season. Comes to an end.
It's over. I got the blues a little bit now. It starts at Halloween with... It's at crescendo at Christmas and New Year's, but now it's winding
right on
down.
to the Super Bowl. It's almost done.
Gotta get back to work, back to the grind.
That's the way it goes, isn't it? We're today talking with Brad Bennington. He's the CEO of the Home Builders Association of Jackson County, and all things home building is kind of Brad's expertise, that's for sure. Now, one of the events that I know goes on what I love about the Home Builders is that, you're a private organization that earns your own money.
Yes, we are.
From your members and things that you do, and all
From
the
back to
things in the
building a
community.
house
You're
each year.
building a house.
Yes, we are.
By the way, is that how you're building a house in Eagle Point, right?
Yeah.
And is it done? Have you sold it, or what's going on with it?
Yeah, I think we're working on the drywall part of it right now. I think we'll be ready to market it, within the next maybe month and a half or so. Yeah.
All built by members, right, of the Home Builders Association.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do they donate their time to do this? Is that
They don't. No, we don't ask anybody to work for free. What we do have for members that want to participate, what we do ask is if you can give us a discount, please do it. And they do. They give us a really good price. And just to remind your listeners what this is, we build this house, we go out, we buy the property just like anybody else would. We pay for all the materials, we pay for all the labor. We have our members build it. And then we sell it just like anyone else would.
Like a regular house.
We pay taxes on the profits just like anybody else would, and then those after tax profits come back to our Home Builders Association, and that's what we use to fund our community projects.
I love that.
So we return all that money back into the community.
And the most amazing thing about this project was the systems development charges that the Home Builders had to pay of some $16,000 to build that house.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable to me. That would be so discouraging for some people, especially if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah.
It was fine, I guess, during the boom when people were just throwing money at it. And but I can't imagine. That would put an unwanted moratorium on building out there if I were a builder.
Yeah. Well, one of the big events coming up from the Home Builders is going to be in April, the last weekend of April.
Yeah.
Coming up is the home show, the spring home show. And this thing started, you said back at the old Armory, back in the other, down by exit 27, right? Back in the day?
Back in the day. Yeah, back in the early 1980s was when it started, and it was just the economic times back then were soft. The industry was kind of rolling slow, and
interest rates were really high. There wasn't much excitement to do much, was there? Yeah.
Calling interest rates high is really charitable.
Yeah.
I remember unfortunately we're all old enough to remember this. We all remember interest rates that were over 20%.
My first house was 17%.
Yeah. So for people that are alive today, the idea that somebody would actually sign a mortgage
17%. How stupid are
you?
What
are you thinking? Yeah. But anyway, so that was when it started, and the home show has just been so popular. This year, we're thinking about having a football inflation challenge. We're going to see if Joe's laughing. We haven't heard enough about that. We haven't heard enough about inflating footballs, so we'll have people inflate footballs and see if they can get through. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that.
Now you've done 2 of these shows in the past. One in the fall, one in the spring.
Right.
Now, you're not doing the one in the fall this year, so the entire focus is going to be on the spring show.
It's going to be huge.
So if people, and I know you get, you've used we've been out there, the entire expo grounds, it seems like, is being used sometimes. So people, those of you who just say, I want to go to the fall one, you only get one chance now and not 2. So that's the thing we're trying to tell you.
Well, that's right. We're going to have a really, really big, fantastic home show, April 23rd, 24th, 25. But we're doing a tour of homes this fall.
Right.
So we're going to add a different event. It's going to have a different flavor, and people are going to love it. You're going to get to see new homes with all the new cool technology and hardware and neat things. So we're going to do that in the fall. But Pete, you're right. We're going to have one home show, and it's going to be just a really, really big, great home show with all the newest and coolest stuff in home construction.
Now, are you seeing people? I mean, it was January, and because space is limited, can people sign up now? Are they doing that?
Oh, yeah.
You anticipate a big show.
Yeah. No, they're signing up like crazy. I would say if you want to be in this show, get on the phone or send us an email, because this show, it's going to be big, and we are going to run out of room. We're not going to. I mean, I'm not kidding. We're not going to have enough room to accommodate everybody that wants to be at this show, because it's going to be our only show this year.
Right. That's going to be the difference. And you're going to get a lot of people there because, again, it's the only show. And let's face it, what else are you going to do in the end of April but go to the home show? It gives you good ideas for what you want to do in your house.
All spring and summer.
All spring and summer.
Do all that.
I like that. Now, one of the other things at the home, you're quite proud of this. And you know, getting people, younger people than us, okay, to join organizations, be part of something is very difficult. You know, every group goes through this, is going through this, whether you're a service club, a fraternal organization, an association, like whatever, is difficult. But you're the home builders, after years of just not much business and things. Tell us what your good news is today.
Yeah. Well, we had our first board meeting of the year yesterday, and one of the things that we were happy to report is that we actually had a year-over-year net gain in membership from 2000 through 2014. And the reason that's such good news is it goes along with the other good news that you're familiar with is, our industry is starting to pick up a little bit of altitude and airspeed. Mm-hmm. So where we went through the Great Recession, the crash, the train wreck, whatever you want to call it, there's new wind in the sails that's really starting to have a really nice financial effect on our community, and this is part of it. Our membership coming back. I can tell you though, and I'm really proud to tell you this, and thankful to tell you this, our Home Builders Association here in Jackson County is one of the financially healthiest ones in the entire state of Oregon.
Really? Uh-huh.
Yeah. We've been.
Well, I believe it because you're entrepreneurial in what you do. I mean, you go out there and you earn your money.
We've been blessed with really conservative, forward-thinking leadership for many, many years, and we've had a lot of good presidents and a lot of good board members. And the reason that we're as solid as we are today is it's the result of an awful lot of people making a lot of good decisions.
We had you guys in the wrong place. We should have sent you to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that probably would have helped there as well.
We appreciate what you did here, but man alive, I'd like to see you get a shot on the big stage.
The more we tell the story of the home builders and all the good that they do in the community, it really is a wonderful story that's still evolving. How can someone get a hold of you quickly, Brad, if they want to talk to you?
Yeah, go to our website, hbajc.com. Give us a call, 773-2872.
All right.
Drop by 1006 East Jackson.
It's coming up, the home show, all that good stuff. And we got to go. Have a great week, everybody.
Happy birthday, Pete.
All that good stuff.
Happy birthday, Pete.
Yeah.
Happy 39th birthday.
God bless everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Original Real Estate Show with Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the Real Estate Guys. For advice, guidance, or counsel on any of our topics, or to watch a replay of today's show, visit our website at realestateshoworegon.com. gmail.com. This show is sponsored by RE/MAX, Ideal Brokers of Southern Oregon, Ticor Title, All Cities Property Management, and the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District. We'll continue our weekly quest to enhance the value of your property and to make you a smart real estate consumer when we gather every Saturday and Sunday on KMED for the one and only original real estate show.